Deontay Wilder is a very, in some ways, at least to me, interesting personality because of the fact that he isn't very intelligent, but he's fiercely, fiercely competitive. He's got a massive heart, but there's also this emotional aspect to him. He's a very emotional guy, and the people around him almost treat him like he's a child. Maybe he is a bit of a child, right? And when I say treat him like a child, I don't mean in a disrespectful way. I mean, when he's having his emotional outbursts, they comfort him the way that a parent would comfort a child. Do you know what I mean? Like, so at the press conference, when he started getting upset about fighters being injured and all this kind of thing, and, I do think, I've never taken these substances, but I do think that, let's just call it the Amazon brew, right? I don't want to trigger any algorithms here, but there's an Amazon brew that people take. And many people say that when they take this Amazon brew, it's a life-changing experience, basically. And they have something akin to a life review, where it's this Scrooge type experience where you're shown all the bad things you've done and the way that your behavior can be toxic and maybe ways which you hadn't realized before, etc., etc. And people often report they come back profoundly changed after taking the Amazon brew. And there were people in the comments when I spoke about that in the previous video who have taken it or taken similar things. And they were saying, yeah, if Wilder's really taken that, it's going to change him. And these are people with experience with these kind of things. So I'm not dismissing the possibility that some of the changes that we've seen in Wilder's behavior since his comeback are maybe down to that, or at least partly down to that. Yes, he's always had certain aspects of his personality, but this experience could accentuate certain aspects of his personality that maybe weren't quite so prominent. Anyway, at the press conference, when he started getting emotional, one of his guys, that guy who always wears a backpack, I don't know who the guy is, but he's ubiquitous. He's always with Deontay Wilder. And he started massaging Wilder's shoulders. Like Wilder was Prince Hakeem or something in Coming to America. And the guy was like massaging his shoulders. It's okay, Deontay. And everyone was like piling on. It's okay. It's like, does he really need that level of, he just won a fight. It's not like he just lost the fight and he broke down crying like Anthony Joshua. No, he just won a fight. And when he was getting all emotional, there were people like rubbing his shoulder, like behind him with the sole duty of just massaging his shoulder. It's just weird. And now, long preamble, his coach, Malik Scott, who does say some sensible things, but he also comes out and says some absolutely bizarre things. At one time, he said that Deontay has better boxing skills than Muhammad Ali. I mean, that is bizarre. And again, this is infantilizing Deontay Wilder. The kind of things you would say to a child to build their confidence. Completely outrageous things. Because obviously, you're going to encourage even grown adults by complimenting them and what have you, right? Building their confidence and self-esteem up that way. But in most cases, you're not going to say things that are completely absurd. But that's exactly what Malik Scott has done in the past, and that's what he's doing here. So in this instance, Malik Scott has come out and said that Deontay is the most dynamic fighter in the history of the sport. I mean, that has got to be the most absurd thing that Malik Scott has ever said. It was bad enough him saying that Wilder had better boxing skills than Ali. Now he's saying he's the most dynamic fighter in the history of the sport. Unbelievable. So more dynamic than Roy Jones Jr. in his prime, huh? If you don't want to say Mayweather, because at least during his welterweight run, Mayweather wasn't really a puncher or a finisher, but Roy Jones in his prime was both. He was a puncher, he was a finisher, he was tremendously fast, and he fought and beat a much higher level of opposition than Deontay Wilder has. And Roy Jones could do things in the ring that nobody else could do. But somehow Deontay Wilder is more dynamic than him. And I'm just using one example because there are so many more. Absolutely absurd. But this is what Malik Scott has come out and said. And I can only imagine that this is for Deontay. He's not saying this stuff, again, I'm going to assume, for us, for the press. He's saying it so this word gets back to Deontay, that this guy in his camp, Malik Scott, is singing his praises and all this kind of thing. Deontay seems to need this. He seems to need not just people building him up. He seems to need sycophancy around him. Or at least that's what he wants. He wants a bunch of sycophants, people who put him on this unbelievably high pedestal. It's bizarre stuff. It is literally like, some people could say Wilder's a megalomaniac, maybe, but I just find him childlike in his mentality. You know what I mean? He's just like a child. This is really strange. So let me know what you guys think about it all in the comments below. Will there be certain people deranged enough to actually support what Malik Scott is saying here? There was some nutcase, and really was a nutcase, who turned up on one of my recent Wilder videos and they were effing and blinding and, cussing me out and saying this, that, and the other. I wasn't even very critical of Wilder in that video. It's the one where I was talking about him taking the Amazon brew, right? But this deranged idiot was effing and blinding, saying all this kind of stuff, saying that Wilder never meant the stuff about catching bodies and all that kind of thing. Well, that's an assumption. And they said that he's only doing what Mike Tyson did in the past because Mike Tyson meant it, you idiot. Mike Tyson said on many occasions after his career was long over, when he was retired, he said that it was his ambition when he was a young fighter to catch a body in the ring. So contrary to what the idiot in the comment section was saying, that Wilder just came out and said, I want to catch a body because it's just a way of hyping a fight and hyping himself as a KO artist. He didn't really mean it, Contrary to that, and they used Mike Tyson as an example of someone else who did it. Contrary to that nonsense, Mike Tyson, after his career was long done, where there's no benefit for him coming out saying he was trying to catch bodies when he was young, he came out and admitted just that. He was trying to catch bodies in the ring. That's what he thought in his mind. He said it and he meant it. Same with George Foreman. And I'm of the view that Wilder meant it as well. Yeah, I know that there are people who say outrageous things to chase clout and this, that, and the other. No, but I think Wilder meant it the same way that Tyson meant it. Because I look at Wilder's punching power. I look at the way he fights, the ferocity, the intensity. This is what Costamado, I imagine, meant by throwing punches with mean intentions. What does mean intentions mean? Why isn't he being specific? I think he wasn't being specific because, mean intentions can be very, very mean indeed, right? So, and I also think that this kind of thing, fighters going in there with really, really malevolent intentions for their opponent, is far more common than people realize. Far more common. But of course, most fighters don't come out and admit that those are their intentions because it wouldn't go down well with the public, right? They would say, oh my gosh, this person needs to be banned and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that. Wilder no longer talking about catching bodies. Now he's talking about how he loves everybody. People talking about the toad, right? The Wilder's had an experience with the toad. Well, the toad is a different thing that Mike Tyson took. It wasn't the Amazon brew, right? The toad was, God, dare I even spell it out? It's TMD in reverse, all right? Those three letters. Reverse TMD, and that's what Tyson took when he saw the toad. And that's far more powerful. It has, the Amazon brew has that same chemical in it, but the pure stuff is what Tyson took. And that is on a next level, apparently. I'm not into them kind of things, but I know some of you guys out there are. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below.